Hey, I thought I'd do a quick overview and mini review for River City Girls. I got the game about 2 days ago, and I finished it pretty much yesterday morning, like 2 in the morning. That should tell you that I was very immersed in it, and that's a good testament to its quality. It does have some pretty obnoxious issues, but it's nothing that couldn't be fixed with patches. So you're probably wondering about the replay value first. The first thing you'll get is both New Game Plus and Loiter once you finish the game. Loiter is pretty much like, any other open world game where, you kind of just have the point of no return open at all times if you want to, end the playthrough. Otherwise, you can just do whatever you want. Now, I haven't tried New Game Plus yet simply because there's no, copy feature in this game. It's not like, like Zelda Link to the Past and things like that, where you can copy the same file and test things. As you can see, I'm at 87% completion. I'm trying to figure out where the secret boss is and get the unlockable reward for whatever you get for the Sabu statues. So I haven't tried that yet, but I can give a decent overview on everything else. Now, there is no online co-op. It's something that they seem to be glossing over. I haven't even seen many of the reviews mention it. I think it's a pretty big oversight. It's just the way this game is designed is actually very co-op friendly. It's pretty hard to get lost. The game gives you just enough direction to keep going, while at the same time leaving some things to be discovered for yourself. But there's no online co-op, so unless you're on PC and you use something like Parsec, then you're pretty much going to be playing this single player unless you live close to your friends. So this is no surprise. That was actually leaked by the Japanese branch of ArcSys, but you can play as Kunio and Riki after you beat the game. However, they start with no money and no moves, and it feels very difficult, kind of like a battle of attrition to get them up to speed, because everything is going to be scaled up to the endgame difficulty, so it takes a while for them to basically defeat anything. Kind of an odd decision, but it definitely adds more challenge to the game. Okay, so first, you have your light attacks, you have a heavy attack button, and you have a special button. Combo system is actually pretty robust. Let me see if I can pull out something here. Now, grabs only work when an enemy is stunned, so that's kind of what the purpose of the combo system is for the most part, is to just make sure they're stunned, and if you can kind of stun a bunch of enemies at once or combo them all at once, you can stun them and then kind of continue even though your combo ends. Now, you won't be moving this fast normally. Basically, you have an agility stat, kind of like the other River City Ransom games, which allows you to run fast. And this is pretty close to a max character. I don't know what the level cap is, but I have eaten pretty much every food item in the game at least once. That gives you a pretty significant stat boost, and then I'm level 23, which gives a variety of stats depending on whatever level it is. So the thing about the items in this game, you may remember in Underground you could eat the same item over and over to get stats. Here you can't do that. Basically, you have to eat every item once to maximize your character, because everything will give you a stat bonus once. Like this one costs $500, a noise figure. When you use that, it will give you like a bunch of stats for everything. So you generally want to balance your money or your income towards, developing your moveset and then trying to clear out every shop.
Goodbye.
Now you can also order things as takeout. That's basically your replacement for food items or healing items, because there's not really many healing item drops in this game at all. There are a couple set ones that appear pretty much at the same place every time, just like a regular linear beat 'em up, but things like the vending machines don't respawn for some reason, so they're kind of pointless in my opinion. So you're definitely going to want to order some things as takeout. That way you can actually heal during boss fights. Also, there's an accessory system in the game. The way this works, basically all the shops work, is that you'll be able to see the name of the item and the price, but it won't tell you what it does until you buy it. However, when you go on another character, these items don't carry over, but you'll still be able to tell what they do, so there's no guesswork involved once you maximize one character.
Yeah, so leave already.
Now, unfortunately, I don't really find the accessory system to be too exciting. I'm honestly a little disappointed. Most of it is passive bonuses. There are some pretty significant ones in here, like this one increases your stun damage, meaning that if you're good at landing combos in big crowds, you'll be able to stun them and pretty much kill them, guaranteed. But there's a lot of ones I find to be kind of useless, like the weapon damage. Weapons aren't really that great in this game. I kind of think that's a big oversight on their part. And beat 'em ups are well known for weapons being exponentially worse than just your base moveset, and I think that's definitely amplified here because you have such an awesome moveset once you develop your character. There are some nice ones here. 5% damage of taking no damage from enemy attacks. That's basically going to be good on the harder difficulty in New Game Plus, I imagine, but I haven't gotten there yet. Now, this is the item you get for beating the game, but I don't know what it does yet. I'll have to get back to you on that later. One of the ones I heavily recommend is the Coin Purse. The Coin Purse gives you a 5% chance of a double money drop. You're definitely going to need that to max out the shop. Some money does carry over between Kyoko and Masako, so you can actually switch between them pretty liberally. But, sorry, I can't talk. You can switch between them pretty much as you want. You'll be able to transfer some of your money over, and you'll also get it from the quest rewards as well, so that means you can switch between characters. I honestly think Kyoko is better for bosses. Unfortunately, I can't really show you a boss because they're all pretty much beaten, and I'm not sure if people want to be spoiled on the final boss. So you just have to take my word for it. But this combo here, like 3 jabs into the lightning legs, like that's basically all you can really land safely on the bosses because they block out of things randomly. I find the bosses to be actually pretty intelligently designed for the most part. They actually have like MMO type phases. They can't be comboed to death or anything like that, but it just makes the fact that you can't really combo them consistently at all. It just adds a random element to the game that I don't really feel has a place, unfortunately. So let's go ahead and show the fast travel system. The same thing goes for food as well. The food will always tell you what it does. For the most part, the food items just heal you, but there are some special ones. There's like an energy drink towards the beginning of the game in a convenience store that gives you max agility for a couple seconds. But for the most part, there's nothing really too interesting here either. You just want to make sure to clean out every shop and then make sure you actually consume the item, be it through takeout or just right away. Sometimes I like to do it right away just to make sure I have the stat boost. I can tell that the stat boosts actually make a pretty significant difference. I was getting kind of stuck on the third boss. I don't want to say who it was, but basically after that point I started focusing more on food, especially at that point since I had the majority of the moveset, and it definitely makes things go a lot faster.
Until we meet again.
A lot smoother overall too. Now let me see if I can demonstrate the assist system. No, they don't want to do it. It's weird. Alright, I'll find another one. Anyway, it's not too important. Basically, it's pretty self-explanatory. They explained it to you in the first couple minutes of the game. Basically, the enemy will beg for mercy, and you have a choice to just kill them for the experience, or recruit them into your party, and then you push L1, and they'll do a little quick attack. Here we go. That's basically it. Not too useful. It has a lot of startup. I think if it had less startup, it would be a little bit more useful. So here's the fast travel system. Once you've reached any screen with a bus stop, you can actually travel to any place you've been to before. The game world is actually quite small. It actually feels pretty digestible, meaning that it's pretty difficult to get lost. If you're looking for the Sabu statues, then you'll probably think the world is a lot bigger than it is. I still have a couple left, and I have no clue where they are, but for the most part, everything is pretty easy to get to within a couple screens, and once you start maxing your agility, you see just how fast you can traverse. Now, Kyoko is more of a combo character, and unfortunately the combo system kind of doesn't really work on bosses. Like, they basically block out of pretty much anything at random. I'm not really a fan of the random element, so I actually think Kyoko is better, ironically, even though she's the combo character, because she has this move here. What is it called again? Dragon Feet. Just like a basic combo into Dragon Feet is something that the AI on the bosses will very rarely get rid of, very rarely tech out of. So there's 2 dojos in the game, and this is where you can unlock your moves. I assume that I have the full moveset, but as you can see, there's a spot for another move there. I don't know if that comes from beating the secret boss or from collecting all the Sabu statues, but you basically will get access to your full moveset at level 12, so I usually just used pretty much all my money towards the moves. There are some that are kind of useless. The throws and stuff, I really don't think you should invest money in those at the start because they can only be used on the mooks, and they're kind of just for flash. You do get a little bit of iframes off them, but it doesn't seem as much as like the traditional beat 'em up. And since they can't be used on bosses at all, you generally want to prioritize like your specials and things like that because that just makes both the mooks and the boss fights go faster. So generally you want to avoid the throws, like I said, and you can put that money into getting a lot of passive bonuses from the food items by eating them once.
Go beat up the world, dude.
So let me go ahead and show Masako. Also, this game's intro is incredibly loud. The game is just loud in general. I actually have it down to like 25% volume on my computer right now on the audio mixer, and it's still pretty loud. This is actually my second take doing this. I realized how loud the game was, that no one would have been able to hear me. So Masako has a lot of the like old school Dragon Ball and River City Ransom moves. She has the not Dragon Ball, but Double Dragon Knee. He even has the same sound effect. Like, she has a jump kick that has hit stun. Pretty standard beat 'em up fare. What's really cool about her is that she has Rekkas, and you can cancel them into any of her other moves. So here's the basic Rekka. Now I'll cancel the Rekka into a launcher. Now the green bar at the top is the energy. The energy bar is filled up by hitting enemies, so generally you want to try to group enemies up because you'll get a lot of energy back and then you can do a combo that way. She also has a bit of a focus on throws, which I think is kind of pointless. I definitely would like them to change the way the bosses work so that more of the moves are viable on them. Like, all this stuff here looks cool, but a lot of it doesn't really serve a purpose on them. And there's 6 boss fights in this game, so that's a pretty significant chunk of the game where you kind of feel very limited. I noticed when I got higher stats that the enemies started blocking less. I don't know exactly which stat like makes that happen, but maybe on New Game Plus, when I get to that point, it will be a little bit easier to stagger them. But it definitely adds a random factor to the game, and I'm not particularly a fan of it, so hopefully it's something that it will be addressed later on. So that's basically the gameplay loop. The map is actually really nice. It shows you where everything is. In most cases, after you've like procced a quest or activated a quest, it will show you the place to go. So I think that's one of the things that makes this a better co-op beat 'em up than a lot of other games like this, because it's very easy for people to kind of play with uneven skill levels and not know where to go and get lost. And this game's obviously marketed towards an older demographic. I don't really think a lot of people under like their or younger than their late 20s are going to be playing this. So it's nice that the game respects your time. It doesn't overstay its welcome at all. I got stuck on one boss because I was just kind of trying to be more creative, but the game doesn't really allow that. Once I started playing more simple, the game got pretty easy. I think it took me about 5.5 to 6 hours to finish. You could probably take about half an hour to 45 minutes of that out from just dying to the bosses and just exploring and things like that, and making videos as well. It doesn't seem like there's much replay value. I don't know how much you get on New Game Plus. There's still a couple things to be uncovered. I'm sure there's some pretty neat secrets in this game, because the last game, River City Ransom Underground, had like complete full moves hidden in the game, so we'll see what happens there. Anyway, that's the gist of it. Overall, I really enjoyed the game. I just think the boss battles need a little bit more polish. The most obnoxious thing about this game by far is it commits the cardinal sin of beat 'em ups, where there's too many things mapped to the basic attack button. Like picking up the trash cans and the weapons is mapped to the button. Activating the fast travel or stations is mapped to it as well. And the most annoying thing is the scene transitions. Like, you can see how far I am here, right? If I try to attack that enemy in front of me, I get zoned out. Like, The zone for the loading zone is just like way too sensitive. I think they definitely could have mapped it to another button. Even if they had mapped it to like the heavy attack button or something, you get in a lot less situations where you have a group of enemies almost dead and you lose all the experience and drops because you hit a loading zone. I definitely think that's something that they should address. I think that annoyed me more than anything else during my playthrough of this game. Otherwise, it's very enjoyable. The music is good, the pixel art is great. The combat is a little bit stiff. I feel like it's kind of odd how they have all these, states for the enemies. There's launchers and ground bounces, or not ground bounces, but wall bounces and things like that. But you still can't cancel into anything. So one of the problems is when you fight a boss, if you do too many hits and they block, they will basically counter, and there's nothing you can do about it because you can't guard cancel. You have this quick step type thing, but you can't cancel into that either. I was hoping that there would be an item that would allow you to cancel, but unfortunately it doesn't seem like there is. I've unlocked 87% of the game according to the load screen, so I guess there's just nothing like that. I kind of was hoping that they would have some kind of item that would make the game a little bit more responsive, but it's not like it's unplayable or anything. You mostly just have to play it like an old school beat 'em up with some modern conventions, like kind of being out of the range of attacks, hitting them out of things, paying attention to their patterns. I think all those aspects of the game are really cool. You don't just combo them to death, but it feels kind of odd that the combo system is as limited as it is because every boss in this game, they have like MMO boss phases where you can only take off 33% of their health before they break out of whatever they're doing and then go into another phase with brand new attacks. So I don't really see why the combo system is as limited as it is, but maybe that's something they'll fix later on. Anyway, that's basically the gist of the game. There's not really a whole lot else to say. I definitely recommend it for $30. It's definitely a good update to the series because, as you know, the Japanese branch has not been doing anything interesting with Kunio-kun or Double Dragon in the longest time. They've just been using the same old sprites for like 30 years now. This is actually a brand new thing. It brings some new things to the table. I think the only thing it's really missing is just a little polish, like what I mentioned earlier, and then just not having online co-op. Maybe that's something they'll patch in later on. I know WayForward is primarily a single-player developer, so maybe they just don't have someone on the team who could actually do it. However, if you do have the game on PC and one of your friends has it on PC, you can look into a program called Parsec. You can look it up on Twitter or just on Google. You should be able to find the site. That will allow you to play like local co-op only games online. So that's a solution for the PC players. I know on PS4 there's something called Share Play, which allows you to play with a friend for an hour, but I don't really know how that would work in a game like this, which is kind of like a persistent campaign. That's something that probably works better with something like Call of Duty or something. But it takes a couple hours to finish this, so I'm not sure how viable it is there. But there are some options to get around the online co-op, or the lack of online co-op, if you so desire. So I'll go ahead and I'll show some Riki or Kunio gameplay, and then that'll be it. You can see how long they take to kill, so I'm not sure how you're really supposed to play them. They don't really have any options at all. I guess it's just supposed to be just grind as much as you can. You don't get to carry over any items from anybody else. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and stop there. If you're interested in the game, it is $30 on all platforms. I did play the Switch version a little bit today. I bought it with my Patreon funds. Since they only gave me a review key for the Steam version. It does seem to have some frame rate issues, but mostly just when you're in a wide open area and there's lots of enemies. I don't really see why there's a problem running this at all. I think there's other games that are far more intensive than this, but maybe it's just got kind of a spaghetti code under the hood or something. But it's definitely a pretty decent port. I hope that they'll maybe fix it later on. Thanks for watching. Peace.